Lenihan, Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be back here in Manchester, Champs Camp, with Joe Gallagher. Joe, first off, how are we?
Yeah, all good, mate. Sun's shining and the gym's warm, and yeah, it's just a nice day, isn't it?
A nice day. Everyone's been working hard. I was privy to a bit of the session there. They're all putting a lot of hard graft in. Let's just talk a little bit about the weekend. We saw Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr in the rematch. I remember speaking to you before and asking, repeat revenge. You were like, repeat in terms of what went before. We saw a little bit in the aftermath of Benn sort of saying Liam had to cut down a lot of weight off the back of a back injury. What do you make of the fight, first of all, and what happened?
Listen, it was a tough watch, obviously, being used to train Liam for many years. It was a tough watch, but full credit has to go to Chris Eubank Jr in the way that he went away. I did say before it, he's took himself abroad to America, invested in himself, took on what is the most hottest boxing trainer in the world boxing at the moment, and he wouldn't have come cheap, and that showed you the intent. Chris Eubank Jr was coming to the fight. He'd made the weight right, looked good at the weigh-in, and he came to this fight into the ring with a team behind him, with people that was confident, where I felt last time there wasn't much confidence in that camp. They all really knew what was really going to happen. But listen, fair play to Eubank Jr, solid game plan, wasn't afraid to mix it up close and personal with Liam in early rounds, and yeah, it was a good performance. Shame for Liam. When he got in the ring, I just thought he hasn't hydrated well afterwards, and yeah, when Liam would want to put his foot to the floor in the championship rounds, he wasn't going to be able to after making so much of a drastic weight cut.
Just a little bit on Chris. For me, it looked a career best performance. He looked like he got the mixture of, the styles. I feel like he's almost been stuck between styles for a while now, but he looked to get everything right. From your point of view, from a trainer standpoint, is that a career best performance from him?
Yeah, I'd say so. When he fought George Groves, I know he came short, but he showed great tenacity and desire and grit. And afterwards I thought, do you know what I mean? Hopefully he can go on. It's no shame losing to George Groves and win a world title. Then he just got caught in this middle ground of ticking over, fighting these people and that. And on that performance of the night now, I really hope he can go on and win a legitimate world title, and to come out of the sport being classed as a world champion. He showed they had the skill of the night, the tenacity, and the tactics and the team behind him to do that. So showed a great jab, kept a cool head, didn't rush in to try and finish things off. He picked his shots very well, and yeah, listen, Chris Eubank Jr is a hot commodity in British and world boxing now.
There's talks obviously of him and Conor Benn now fighting. Conor's, we believe, rumoured to be coming and back out at the end of September. I think fighting in America. He says he wants that fight in the UK, providing everything gets cleared up with what's going on in the background with UCAN and with everything else. What do you make of that fight if it is at a 160? What do you make of it?
Listen, I'm sure the way it'll be built up, obviously the history of the two fathers is what I've got to sell it. But as far as Eubank Jr, he's in the driving seat. He's the A side. He can pick. He's fought, I said to you, George Groves, Liam Smith. Conor Benn's not really fought for, I don't think he even fought for a domestic title yet or anything else. So of his name and his the adverse findings and the alleged failed to drug tests, his name's famous for that, really, more so than him winning titles. So yeah, Eubank Jr holds all the cards, and like I said to you, I'd like him to go and win a world title. When he does that, then it'll allow Conor, when he comes back, to fight the domestic belts, either the British and a European, and then build it up for a shot at the world title, which hopefully Chris will have by then.
Let's just talk a little bit about some of the other fights that were on the card. So I know you had Mark Heffron on the card, came up short. Just quickly touch on Mark's performance and how is it?
Yeah, Mark's all right. Listen, you've got to give full credit to Jack Cullen. He's spent his time in the game, and like I say, even though in the last year or so, 18 months, he's been in fights and he's lost, but he's lost to good calibre opponents for the European title, and then one of the best hot prospects in world boxing at the moment. But at least he was still fighting. It's no excuse, but Mark hadn't been in the ring for a year, and at that stage of his career, 30, 31 years, it damages you a little bit. So, but take nothing away. Jack Cullen landed the shot, and it was clean on the whiskers, and fair play to him. And yeah, I hope he deserves his success. He's somebody that's worked hard for it and deserves it. Mark, This is a chance for Mark now to sit down and see where he goes from here now. I'm sure there'll be fights out there. People say, oh, you could fight Zach Parker, or you could fight Zach Chella. There's fights out there for Mark Heffron, but he has to think about what he wants to do. The build up to the fight and what goes on in the background with Mark Heffron is, if people were only to know what he has to deal with, it's just absolutely shocking mentally.
Okay, right, let's touch on, there was two other fights I think that was sort of relevant to one of your current fighters. Now Natasha Jonas' name gets banded around left, right and centre with some big names. Throughout the build up to this, there was talks of Michaela Mayer. She obviously had stepped up in weight, I think, to was she fighting at 140, yeah. So Michaela Mayer, and also I heard Benn mention the likes of a Lauren Price. What do you make of Natasha and her next move? You mentioned about her potentially fighting abroad. What do you think will be next for Tasha?
Well, Tasha won't be fighting Lauren Price next, so that's that one. Natasha will be most probably fighting in Tanzania next. That's where she wants to fight. We're in talks over there with the government, the tourists, all that type of stuff. Talks are ongoing, and we've invited Michaela Mayer to be the dance partner. I spoke to her manager George here in Manchester last week. Michaela Mayer ticks the boxes. She's obviously American, former world champion. She was top rank, Bob Arum, and I think she's the ideal dance partner for what I would see as a huge event, a sporting event for female boxing next year, to have it outdoors in a 65,000 arena in Tanzania. I think it's Tasha joke, it's like the female rumble in the jungle, and for Bob Arum to be involved in it when he was involved in the Foreman and Ali, who would have thought years later that these two girls. So Natasha, she wants to do that, and that's where she wants to go with it. So talks are ongoing, and that's where it'll be. But talks of Lauren Price, that's not happening now.
What sort of a statement would that be for Natasha to go to a place like that where, you know, we don't really hear of, you know, huge boxing events, and to put on a fight with a Michaela Mayer and world titles on the line? What sort of a statement would that be sort of for women's boxing and for her? Yeah,
listen, I've only said it to you a couple of seconds ago, but we're excited about it. Obviously, Tasha's become an ambassador of Zanzibar, and to go over there and to be part of it, that the whole movement of being part of something, like I said to you, would outdo everything that Katie and Serrano's done, Savannah and Carissa's done, to take that over there. I've seen the other day there's a huge fight in Nigeria that wants to be made over there, and I think Africa and that side of the world is a flourishing continent, and to have Natasha Jonas over there against Michaela Mayer is a huge women's event. 65,000 there, we could sell it out, and I just think the endorsements and the TV and everything that'll go with it, I just think when Natasha retires, she was part of that, and that's why we ask Michaela Mayer to be the dance partner with Natasha. If not, as we said to them, then we'll go and get someone else.
Let's quickly move on. I spoke to Jack Massey earlier and asked him, look, what's next for you? Will it be
a bag? That's what's next for Jack Massey at the moment. I don't know what he's been doing before, as you've seen there today. Oh my God! But anyway, he's getting better at it. Anyway,
what's next for him in the ring? Anyway, like he was talking to him saying, "Are you gonna have a whack at heavyweight again? You're gonna stick at cruiser? What you doing?" And he's like, "Look, hopefully we get a fight before the end of the year." There's some big names knocking about. What do you think can be next for him?
I'd love the Chris Smith for Jack Massey. I think it's a great fight. There's history behind. There's an ABA final between the two of them, and I think it's a good domestic fight that can tick a lot of boxes, whether it be here at Manchester Arena or down at the O2 or down in Bournemouth or wherever. I think it's a good domestic fight. Jack Massey's proven himself, former IBO cruiserweight world champion, gone the distance of Joseph Parker at heavyweight, and I think that's a good domestic fight. While the likes of Riakpo or Kohler and them boys are. Fingers fighting, Jordan Thompson's fighting for the world version of the world title as well, yeah. So while that sorts out, I think that's a good domestic fight, and it's one that could be made quite easily.
You think that Lawrence activating his rematch clause, or is that a fight that can happen? What's the situation with that? Because I thought Lawrence had a rematch clause.
Well, if he has, and if he reacts it, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm just saying at the same time, Chris Smith, like Jack Massey, the two young fighters, they've both become fathers recently, and they want to go out there and no trash talking. You've got really two gentlemen of boxing there, and I think it'd be a good fight for the pair of them, and I think it'd be. I liken it to at the time when you had the times when you had Kayla and Simpson and them type of boys. Do you know what I mean? And they were fighting each other, and yeah, I think they're the two gentlemen of the sport, and I think they do good to have that fight.
I've got to touch on Paul Butler. Yeah, we'll talk on Paul. What's his next move? When's he next going to be out, and he'll be looking to become world champion again?
Yeah, Paul's out hopefully at the end of October, beginning of November, and really working hard to get him that world title opportunity and a chance for him to become a 3-time world champion. You've seen he's in the gym today now. He's been busy setting up his business, and as you see by social media, him and his missus like knocking down walls and putting them back up again, but he's put that to bed now, and he's concentrating now by the back end of the year, challenging for a world title of sorts, so fingers crossed.
And when you look at some of the young prospects you've got in, and I've just had them all on today, in Sean Yaxley, Billy Dennis, Jake Dodd, who's coming off a terrific first round knockout. I know he's got his new canvas now, Jake, and he seems, they all seem in such a good place. How pleased are you with the young crop that's sort of coming up behind these more seasons, and with JK Boxing as well, who's he's coming in here keeping fit, and he's ready now to kick on. You must be pleased with the crop of fighters.
Yeah, 100%. I think Billy Den's, listen, it's unfortunate him getting a 6-month ban, and I am just shocked. But he's young, and get through the ban from his last fight, and then obviously move on. He's learning all the time. He's in the gym, and he's somebody already that's improved, and people can say he's improved. He's dedicated, and it's more a case of telling Billy sometimes to no, that's enough. And Josh Holmes, extremely dedicated. He's an exciting kid, 12-0. Hopefully he'll break through back end of this year, next year. Sean Yaxley, 12-0, 13-0, just won the Celtic title and the Trinket IBO belt. He'll be ready to break onto the scene. And then obviously Jake Dodd, he keeps coming in every day going 5 million views now, 6 million views now. So yeah, listen, and like I said to him, his pro debut, people like Lennox Lewis putting out his knockout and stuff like that. So he's living in the moment at the moment. But yeah, they're all good kids. We're all going to plan a trip to the wild card in America, just like I did with the last lot. We'll throw them in to the wild card, and we'll see who's got that bit of metal, because I just feel over the next 12-18 months, them group of fighters are going to be the next wave of British champions, European challengers, world title challengers over the next 2 to 3, 4 years.
You think the wild card, is that a good measuring stick when you put them into that environment where it is literally, like you mentioned, we talked about a bit of kind of like camp here, and chuck them in and see how they handle themselves? Is that a good measuring stick? Because it's a famous gym, like you're trying to build this back up here at Champs Camp. The wild card's one of them sort of measuring sticks. Yeah, it is. I think I put a post out a couple of weeks ago, 2012. Who would have thought? Like I say, there was a picture. There was me, Freddie, and at the time I think there was Callum Smith, Liam Smith, Scott Quigg, Crawler, Cardle, Alfie Burton, can't remember who else, but anyway, there were 7 of them, and I thought, wow, all 7 became British champions, 6 of them challenged for world titles, and 3 of them, Beefy, 4 of them became world champions, Beefy, Quigg, Crawler and Callum Smith, and you just thought, who would have known? And that trip, Callum hadn't made the Olympics, hadn't turned pro yet, but that trip for them was to see, right, who's got it, because they were just about to start pushing for honours like British and European and world. So it was good to see how Liam Smith, Crawler, Quigg, Callum Johnson, how they reacted in that environment, and I came away from it thinking, do you know what, we can go to war with these lot, do you know what I mean? They're not got to be shirking, and it showed, and that's what I'm wanting to do with these lot now, to see who's got it and can they cope in the heat of battle. Well, it's going to be interesting to see, and we'll see who comes back, and we'll see who's going to be them sort of the next charge of going for the British and world honours. I've got to ask you, because tomorrow is the press conference between Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. It's one of these crossover fights. I know it's not your traditional boxing, but I've got to ask you, what do you make of this coming together? It's a bit of an event. Mike Tyson's in the corner of Ngannou. Ngannou, I believe, is in the Guinness Book of Records for, world's most powerful punch, however they've measured that or whatever. What do you make of the whole thing? Listen, don't take that too serious. I thought Mike Tyson was fighting John Fury the last post I've seen. There could be a 4-round move around there. But listen, like I say, you have Champions League football, and then you have Soccer Aid. So you've just got to look at this like a bit of a Soccer Aid event. It is what it is. He's not the first to do it. He won't be the last to do it. Muhammad Ali did it, a wrestler.
Rocky did it with Hulk Hogan.
James Toney, I think, did something.
Yeah, listen, it is what it is, and if there's an appetite for it, there's a curiosity for it, then let it go. Do you know what I mean? And listen, we all know, the world heavyweight champion's Tyson Fury. He's having a bit of time out. He's doing this. He's done a lot of appearances here in UFC, at WWE, I should say. Yeah. So it is what it is. I don't think everyone should get too worked up or thingy about it, and just enjoy what it is.
In terms of, we saw Usyk and Dubois just quickly. Did the performance from? Oh no, I've already asked you this. But in terms of Tyson Fury now, what are the chances that we see him in with Usyk next year? Do you think that fight will happen?
Yeah, I think that happened. It was curious, really. Listen, I know Frank's got to do the best that he can do for his man and get the rematch with Dubois. But by getting the rematch with Dubois and Usyk is making it longer again for Tyson Fury. So I'm sure there'll be a few words, a few phone calls all along then there. Everyone would love to be able to eavesdrop on that. But yeah, I think it'll happen. I think Tyson Fury, after watching that, will be even more confident. And I think that's Usyk now, his 5th fight in 5 years. Since the World Boxing Super Series, he's only fighting 1 fight a year.
Is that to his detriment, you think?
I think so. I think, like I say, at 36, you've got to remember he's a smaller man, he's fighting bigger men. But yeah, that 1 fight a year is really not that good. Do you know what I mean? 5 fights, 5 years, then people say, oh, he's soft downstairs. Well, of course he's got to be soft downstairs. He's not staying in the gym and fighting like the old fighters were, like your Foremans, your Nortons, your Weavers. Do you know what I mean? They were fighting regular and often and staying in the gym. So it's a shame. But like I say, I'd like to see Usyk and Tyson Fury fight, and I think it will happen.
Fingers crossed for all boxing. But look, Joe, appreciate your time, and thanks for always talking to Boxing Social, and we'll catch up when there's some more news in this gym.
Yeah, no problem. Nice to have you here.